All right, we got another great podcast together today. We're going to talk with Coach Mike Cipot. He is the head football coach of North Brunswick High School. Has really turned around that program. The record that he has, 56-16 over the last 7 years, is unbelievable. Prior to that, I think they had won like 7 games in like the prior 7 years or something like that. It's 5-6 years. So he's really rebuilt the program there, turned into a powerhouse, produced a lot of college players from that program, and turned North Brunswick into a powerhouse. We'll talk to him about that. I got to tell you something funny before we bring him on. So we had Tony DeMeo reached out to me. Okay.
Yeah, he asked me to. He was going to reach out to you. He said he was saying.
Yeah, and I think him and DJ are going to do something together.
Yeah, because he was asking if I had DJ's number or anything.
Yeah,
I wanted both of yours, and I didn't have any of that information. So he said he was going to reach out to you and kind of, I don't know what he wants to do.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Scientist. That'll be cool if they link up. Maybe,
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure he's going to push for it.
Maybe Tony might have to use Zoom so he could be able to get all the way through, you know. And we still DJ still keeps pushing for the we have to have Where's Tony podcast.
It's funny.
All right, without further ado, we'll bring on Coach Cipot. Coach, great to have you on. We're excited to talk to you. I love the is now that clock in the background in the swimming room. Is that for how long they take laps, the swimmers?
It's timing how long I'm going to be a head coach until I pass out in the field.
I think that's everybody's way. I think that's all how they try to go out, you know?
And I have to be in the pool because this is the only place where there's Wi-Fi. So this is anything important, which you guys made the important.
There it is.
There it is. Next period. Get it rolling.
On the hop. Everybody on the hop.
Move along.
Inside run.
At least they probably know that's where you are, right? They'll know if he's got something important, he's in there. That's nice. Good. Coach, appreciate you. Thank you for coming on.
You guys made the important list, so I'm happy to be on. You guys do a good job.
the important list. That's good.
That's a first.
Yeah, that might be the first. That I'm usually on the unimportant list, but that's good. We're excited to talk to you. You know, I want everybody to get a background. Like we talked about in the intro, what you've done in North Brunswick is phenomenal. And haven't been a head coach at a place where I've had to turn it around and been in a situation where it was just down at near the bottom. And having to do all that, I'm really excited to talk to you to hear like some of the things that you did. Talk about your playing background, your coaching background, and how you got all to this point. Did I lose you there? Can you hear me, Coach? Did we lose Coach? Hello? Derek, can you hear me?
I'm losing you.
Did we lose
audio already?
Can you hear me, Coach? Derek, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Coach, can you hear me? Oh.
I can hear you.
There we go. Now we're good.
It was a little choppy.
It's all right. We're good. We're okay now. I can hear everybody.
So what I asked is, as just to give everybody a little bit of your background as a player, as a coach, how you got to this point, right now.
All right. So I was born and raised in North Brunswick. I was a North Brunswick product. I went through the North Brunswick Indians Pop Warner program. I went to North Brunswick High School with my twin brother Nick. My older brother John was a senior when I was in 8th grade, so we had big shoes to fill because John was the guy at high school. 1,000-point scorer in basketball. Big D1 product in football. So we came in. We had great experience at North Brunswick. I was coached by Sal Mastretta my junior and senior year. He just made it to the Hall of Fame in NGFCA. We were 9-1. We were great. Made the playoffs for the first time in God knows when. I was a team captain there. I was an offensive lineman my whole life. I was an offensive guard. My brother was a defensive lineman. So we both wind up going to Wesley College together, which Wesley is not there anymore. But we played for Coach Drass, which he was
great guy.
He was the best. Brought his word together over to my program, actually. So we had great success at Wesley. Our senior year, we went 12-2. We go to the national Final Four. We play Whitewater in a snowstorm and get the shit beat out of us in a snowstorm. But the experience alone was awesome. We're on ESPN2, and that was unheard of at Wesley.
Absolutely.
But football's been a part of our life since we were little kids. All three of us as brothers, we played outside all the time. Grew up right around Memorial Stadium in New Brunswick. It was always in our blood to coach. We were all three-sport athletes: basketball, baseball. In fact, baseball was almost of our best sport, but we just turned out to be football guys. And I wound up, after my career at Wesley, went to get my first coaching job in 2007 with Coach Zielinski at North Brunswick. So I came back to my alma mater, coaching there for 4 years, was a special teams coordinator, linebacker, offensive line. Went to Metuchen for 2 years, which was different, a small school, Metuchen. But Coach Mistretta came out of retirement and was the head coach, so I got to be the defensive coordinator for the first time in my career, and coach with Sal Mistretta, which was great. Sal told me I didn't know what I was doing every day, but he taught me everything. It was tough love, so I owe everything. Coach Mistretta was like a second father to me. I left Metuchen. I went to Immaculata for 3 years. Got a chance to coach with Coach Filato, who was awesome, just awesome coach. Knew a lot of knowledge, ton of energy for at the time, I think he was 70. He was just awesome coach. Coach Emmanuel, I still call him coach. He's a vice principal here now. He was the AD at the time. He called me in 2016 and said, "We need help. We need you to come."
Nice.
Time's up. No. So they called me to come back to North Brunswick. So we made a decision. I just had my second kid, my son, Anthony, and I just had my daughter, Cameron. And I said, I live in Milltown, so I said, I think it would be good to come back to North Brunswick. At the time, I'm working in Bridgewater. I was a K-4 phys ed teacher in Bridgewater for 11 years. So I was, kind of commuting back. So I got a defensive coordinator job in 16. We were not good. We were 1-9, but just another year under my belt as a D coordinator. I was asked to put in for the head coach, and the rest is history. 2017 was my first year as a head coach. I've been there ever since, and let's just say there's a lot of work to be done to fix this program, but it was easy because you were a North Brunswick guy and you had pride and passion in your heart to fix it.
Right.
You had a support system within the town. I've had uncles and my grandfather's family just about ran the town. The Paleo family ran North Brunswick for years. We ran the Italian Festival. We ran the Columbus Day Parade. So we knew a lot of people in town, but I also had uncles and cousins that played in the 70s, 80s, 90s, myself, my brothers. So I coached in the early 2000s. So there was a lot of people that we knew in town to really make this work and say, hey, all hands in, we're doing this together, which we kind of came up with the word, got it from Coach Drass. And just learning from guys like Coach Mistretta and Coach Filato, Coach Zielinski, it's just all the people that made me a head coach. It kind of helped me become a head coach.
What was it like when you came in, okay, and you knew you had a monumental job from a turnaround standpoint? What were some of the things that you felt you had to put in place to start with in order to get the ball rolling in the right direction? Because that's always the hardest part, right? Getting the ball rolling in the right direction. What were some of the things that you had to do there?
I mean, I say this even if young coaches are listening, and I still consider myself young, but you got the first thing. I think the first thing I did was establish who my staff was going to be. I needed guys that were going to work. I needed guys that were going to be there every day. I needed guys that I trusted. Obviously, my brothers were the first two guys I hired. I hired Pushan Brown, who was a running back for me in 2007, who was one of the best running backs in school history. And you went down the line. I got Chris Marr as my special teams. He's a Spotswood head coach now. I got Paul Day, who's probably one of the best offensive line coaches in the state from Franklin. Him and me connected because I worked with his wife, was a music teacher at Bridgewater, and we made a connection. So I kind of built that first. And then you kind of had to watch tape. I looked tape, and see who are we going to surround this program around? Who's back on this team? What's going to be our identity? Are we going to be a spread team? Are we going to be under center pro team? Are we going to be, what kind of defense are we going to run? And, as I'm doing this, I would take trips. Me and Mike Kuchar, everyone knows Mike Kuchar, X&O Labs, Mike Kuchar, right. Him and me were great friends, still good friends. We went to trips. We went to Boston College. We went here. We went there. We went just to keep learning football. And I'm still 41. I'm still learning football. And it changes, ever changing. So having that, and then building, talking to the building administrators, talking to the AD, this is how I want my program. This is my blueprint of what my program wants to be. And then you get into a classroom with the kids and you say, this is how things are going to be run now. Like this is a new sheriff in town.
Yeah, that's it.
And I said, all the stuff that did before this didn't work. So we're going to do things that work. And I didn't expect a success right away. I really didn't.
No.
And they need to learn how to win. And if you look at the first two games, we had to open with St. Joe's, who at the time was a powerhouse. There were probably about 10 D1 kids on the team. We're losing 24-14 in the fourth quarter. So I said, all right, I can work with this. We're right there. And then the next week we're going to Colonia. We're winning 14-12 in the fourth quarter, and we implode and blow the game. We lose. We start 0-2.
Just not used to winning yet,
So I said, you guys are right on the doorstep. But I remember kicking 3 kids off the team that night and said, these guys aren't believers. They're not together. And I remember had a closed door meeting with the team and the staff. I said, we're right there, but we're doing it my way. And if you're not doing it my way, you can go to hell home. And we wound up beating Carteret that Saturday afternoon, and the rest was history. 56-14 later, it's kind of crazy. But I know sitting down with Dr. Zukowski, who was the superintendent at that time, I said, if you hire me, we're going to win a state championship. I had a schedule of the state championship practice. I said, if you hire me, we will be there. We're there. We're close. We're just not there yet. But we've been on the doorstep. In 2018, we're in the state championship game for the first time since 1979. The whole town was there. It was kind of like a coming out party. Like, we're here. We're here to stay. In 2021, we played Hillsborough, who was like a cheat code team. And, but we're there. And I think what I've learned over the years is that you want to have a great program. I remember talking to Coach Lanzafama. I always loved his program, and Coach George at South Brunswick, that no matter what, they're always right there. They're always there in the semis. They're always in the playoffs. And that, to me, is a great program. You're winning, and you're right there, and you're making these kids go to colleges, get to colleges, experience it, become good fathers, good husbands. And I think people forget about that. I think we just instilled a leadership council here, and I got great coaches. I got 3 guys on my staff that could be head coaches somewhere else. Dan Grzinski, James Lopez, Kyle Harkins. These guys are phenomenal coaches, and they care about these kids and what we're doing here at the program. That was a long answer. Sorry.
No, it's a great answer. And we'd rather have you talk than us, because me and Derek talk too much already. So one of the things that I think you brought up a really good point. So, and you turned it around really fast, and I'm not sure, so maybe you can answer this. Were there the players already in place, and you had to really monumentally change the culture? Like when you threw 3 guys off, or was it a matter of you had to go get players? What was the biggest part of that process?
You said the word culture. Our culture had to be fixed immediately. And like that, we implemented a weight room program. Like, we were kind of in and out of weight room. Like, we need a weight room program. So we have a speed training program. We have a weight room program. We had guest speakers coming out for like NFL guys, college guys, to say, like, you guys are important. We want to make you feel important. You're going to feel the love from our staff. If you feel it, you have to give it too, though. You have to, as much as how hard we're going to work, you're going to put that same work in. And we kind of still live by that. Like, you're going to get love if you show love, and the hard work is going to get to where the success is. And from the first practice, they knew it was different. We ran our practice like a college. It was timed. You heard the horn, you move on to the next session. That's the way it was, and that's the way it's still been. And they see it, these coaches, you're going to have meetings, you're going to learn football, and you're going to make bonds with these guys that you play with. There was pieces. We had Miles Bailey, who was one of the best running backs in school history. We had Chich Petrillo, who to this day I love. He was a baseball player playing quarterback, but he was a tremendous athlete. His father coached with me. His father was one of the better players in the 80s that came out of North Brunswick. So we really brought the town involved. Now you see these guys from the 70s and 80s coming from the gate, watch the games. Now we get sellout crowds every night. The Snack Shack's got specialty sandwiches. The Adams AC, President Richie Fabian has been behind me since day one. Now we got them involved. Now we got Pop Warner involved. Now it's a whole town is talking about football. So that was a culture that needed to be talked about. We needed to be important again, where people are talking about North Brunswick football at home. Kids in elementary school said, we can't wait to go to the game Friday night.
Right. That's what you want. Those guys showing up, wearing their jerseys, like, hey, Uncle Tommy played here. Or, hey, I think that part of that, I think that's the part that a lot of these guys overlook and, kind of make it like, oh, that's, that doesn't happen anymore. Or that's not how things are around here. When you have that tradition that's already established before you even get there, you just tie into it, right? Like, and you just kind of adapt with the times and make it factor into, how it works for now. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle that guys that take over programs, they don't really jump into it, and you kind of had the head start having come from there, right? Like I always get nervous when I see coaches that are alums because, they're giving a little bit more than everybody else to that program, right?
The school. I walked these halls just like them. I went to the Pop Warner program. I know the type of kid. I know I've been walked down the streets, rode my bike around. Like I just know, North Brunswick, so where these kids are coming from. You can't BS me because I know where you are. I know what you're doing. I know all the cops in town. I know everyone in town. I know where you are.
You know what? Guess what?
And they always say, Coach, how do you know? How do you know we were there? I know
starting left tackle, back in the day. So this is what we're working with.
You say, Coach, how did you know we were there on the corner? I said, I know. I see.
Don't worry, dude.
I have eyes everywhere. I know everything.
And not only one person told me, 3 others told me too.
So, and you guys have a middle school program too, right? So you have a middle school. Talk about because not a lot of schools in New Jersey have it. There's a few in Middlesex County that do, and Derek probably know a little bit more than me of the other places that have it, but talk about, is there an impact there with having the middle school program? Is that a real positive for you?
Yeah. So even answering your first question, that was one of the first weeks that I got the job. I sat down with Richie Fabian, who's a good friend of mine. And he's the Adams AC president for football. We said we have to fix the program where there's a feeder system. And we sat down with the middle school program, and they were going to do a little more. The closer you got to middle school, they're going to do stuff that are more like us.
Correct.
And the verbiage is a little bit the same.
Yep.
And the Pop Warner guys are doing a great job too. And they're doing a pro eye stuff and this and that, which is simple. I said, teach them to be tough football players, use a little bit of our lingo. I just don't want you running single wing because we don't run single wing.
Right.
So just at least try to do something like what we're doing. But we invite them to all our practices. I tell them, bring a notepad. No, I said, no one's too good to learn football. I still go to clinics. As soon as you think that you know everything, that's when you're going to go down as a program.
Oh yeah,
it's ever changing. You want to bring I love bringing young coaches in to coach with me because they have that juice and they were just lived that college life, and those are the guys you want to work, and they're going to work. And we run a tight program. Like my brothers will tell you, I didn't take crap from the coach. I was probably tougher on the coaches than the players, and that's just I wanted the kids to see that because they knew that we meant business. And we're always, after every practice, we're talking about what we can fix, what was better, what didn't we like. It just has to be that way. Like during the season, I barely sleep. And to all the young coaches, the key to a successful football coach is the wife. Your wife has to be on board. I have a great 100%. Football wife. Lauren is a great football wife. She's a little Italian girl. She's like, clean up after your mess. She just, she gets it. She's learning slightly, but she's at every game with the kids and she gets it. And right. She's just as involved as I am as all the coaches, and she has all the coaches. They're all the uncles now. They're all my kids looking at them as the uncles. So it's a big family thing now.
It's important for football that everybody's all in. I think that the community sees that everybody's all in. Talk about how so going back, being from North Brunswick. Talk about the things that you had to convince everybody of with you as head coach that was going to make it different. And then now even going forward, now what is it? what is the relationship like with all the, because North Brunswick as a town has changed a lot demographically. And that probably continues to be like when you're recruiting within the school, you might have to get kids that may not have played football before, or maybe it's not in their culture to have played football, and you had to, get more of those kind of. So talk about how you continue to build that relationship in the town, because I'm sure it's from 20 years ago. It's a different town demographically than it once was. There's still a lot of people that were there from before, incumbent and stuff like that. But it's a changing area. Talk about the things that you've had to do over the years from when you first came in to now to continue to kind of build the program.
Yeah, I mean, North Brunswick was it was like a big small town. I always called it.
You kind of get that feel.
Yeah, I grew up Italian, so North Brunswick was all Italian back in the day. I mean, it was all, those were the guys that ran the town, and like my family was there. I mean, there's still my parents still live in town, so right. It's changed, but I think it's changed for the better. You got a great mix of like tough white kids, tough Spanish kids, tough black kids. I mean, it's a great mix of kids. It's a little like Woodbridge, it's a little like Saraville, but you're getting these tough kids, and I think that the biggest thing was, the town needed to see that you were doing something. So right. We did the community service we did a spaghetti dinner with the Adams AC. We went to the cemetery and put all the American flags and the fallen soldiers from Memorial Day. And the town said, wow, they haven't done this in years. Maybe there's a difference. We said, we're doing a 7-on-7 tournament. We invited a bunch of teams there. We did it right in the middle of town, right at the Pop Warner Field at Sabella Park. Come see our team. They're like, wow, they got some good talent. There's some this. Social media is big. You got to say, hey, this is what we're doing. These are the schools that are coming in to see you. And then you have guys that we've had a lot of kids come from other schools because their fathers were North Brunswick people, and they've actually moved back into town.
Right, because they've seen the positive things that are going on.
Coming from Franklin. And these guys are that I played with or played with someone on my staff, and at their families, they're like, hey, man, look what North Brunswick's doing. They're doing a great job. We want to be a part of it. So the biggest thing is having a positive experience. That's part of our mission statement. We want them to have the best football experience that they can have being at North Brunswick, whether it's doing something outside of football, on the field. Winning is fun. It sure is. And we see it every Friday night when we're winning. It's the whole town's there. And it's great. Kids go home. People are talking about it the next day. And we said that from day one. We want to be the buzz in town. We want them in the fall talking about North Brunswick football. We want them to be that Friday. Their Friday night is coming to our games. I'm trying to answer your second question. So the community, I felt like that was so big, being in town and knowing a lot of people. You wanted to give out a T-shirt to someone and say, hey, come to the game. Here's the schedule. We ran a golf outing. Now we're getting guys coming, talking about the program. So you want to do certain events and get the Pop Warner involved and, showcase your kids a little bit, show social media. It's the only reason I still have Facebook is because I get in touch with all the old timers that want to check in. John McGrath, 1980 graduate, Hall of Famer. He's asking about I can't wait for the season. What's the schedule? What's in that? That wasn't happening 10 years ago. So we've come a long way, and now people reach out. They want to be a part of it. We're getting a lot of people that want to donate. People want to have their hand in, the success at North Brunswick, which is great, and that's what you want to be. And the hard part is staying that way. The hard part's staying there.
Yeah, you got to sustain. The sustainability is tough.
And that's for 7 years. I've been fortunate. I definitely thank the coaching staff that have been phenomenal, and these parents that get their kids here every morning. We had 6 a.m. workouts from January to March. It's not easy, but it's not supposed to be easy. And we're teaching them to get up and get to work, and hard work pays off, and you earn everything in life. Everything is earned. We don't give out handouts here. I don't care if you're a senior or a freshman. If you're better, you're playing. And we make that. We tell the 8th graders we don't have a freshman program. COVID kind of had something to do with that. But we tell the 8th graders, when you come in, you're practicing with the varsity. We have you're on JV from day one. You're on JV from day one. You get coached by the varsity coaches. You're going to hear me every day. You're in the locker room. We are a family from senior to freshman.
Academic deadlines. Beat the blank page.
So I'm going to shift a little bit, and I think it's really interesting how you really built up the community, you have all that going. Talk about, because we talk a lot about recruiting on here, and I'm curious because you had a lot of really good players that have come through. You've had some big time Division I players. I actually remember, is Pushan still on your staff?
Pushan left 2 years ago. He's a running back coach at Maine. He went back to his alma mater.
That's where he played. Yep. I remember he came to when I first started running showcases, but I mean, it had to be like 2006, and he was there.
I coached him. My first year was 2007, and Pushan was a senior. I said, "That's our running back." Oh my God! I stepped in. Whew, he's good. I don't got to coach that kid. He can just do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I remember him well. He was a really good player. So talk about recruiting. Has that changed for you guys as much? Because when me and Derek have talked to coaches, most coaches have said it has changed with the transfer portal NIL, but we've had a few from different states, some other states that said it hasn't changed that much for them. I'm always curious. Has high school recruiting changed a lot for you because of the transfer portal and them taking more athletes from one school to the next, at the college level?
100%. I think since the transfer portal came in effect, I think it's changed tremendously. I mean, you look back, I have Leon Lowry, who right now is the outside linebacker at Wisconsin, he was at Syracuse for 4 years, just left as a grad transfer. He's at Wisconsin. Miles Bailey's at Central Michigan. That was pre-portal. And though we had guys coming in, 5 guys a day. So because they were only recruiting senior players. And I think we still get a lot of guys in, but it's different now because now if they want a 6'2", 220-pound linebacker, they're going to get a kid that's 22 years old from Duke.
Yep.
But the numbers have shrinked. So back then they might have taken 6 seniors. Now they're only taking 1 in the entire country. Like Pushan was telling me that they only took 1 running back in the entire country because that's what they were allowed to take and that's what the money gave. And I mean, that's hard. I mean, I think if anything, D3 is getting better because they're not getting a lot of these guys aren't going D1. And I think D3 is actually getting way more competitive. If any of these guys, I tell the kids, you guys see the North Central game? No. I'm like, there's some players on there that you couldn't touch them. I mean, really good football, D3, really good. These kids don't get that. They see D1 and that's it. But
look, it's we go back and forth with it all the time. It's like because everybody only sees social media wise those big playing on Saturdays on ABC and CBS.
That's a different type of player. It's a different
and
type
it's like
of player.
You don't understand, and especially a guy who played Division III. Like these guys just don't understand the level of talent that's there. Like nobody grows up and says I want to be a D3 football player, right? No. But like things happen,
and the best kids are the kids that know that they are. The kids that I have as juniors and seniors and say, "Hey, guess what? I know I'm going to William Patterson." That's great.
It's like phenomenal. You're already in a category of actually playing at the next level that most guys never get the opportunity to
very rare.
Play. And listen, you may think one thing, but when you get there, get ready, buddy. Right? Yeah. Like get ready because every guy was you in high school. Everybody's that guy. Yeah. So get ready. And it's the level of competition. And I think it's definitely upping in the Division III world. I think these kids now are just, we tell them like, look, man, if you get an opportunity to go anywhere, right? Like it's above and beyond. So understand that, going through this process. I always tell
the kids, if you put that NCAA sticker on your helmet, you're playing college football. It doesn't matter what level. It's a job. I played D3 football for 4 years. It's a job.
Yep. It's what it is. Yep. And you're not getting all the other glamour or this or that. You're playing because you love it.
It's football.
Do you have to? How do you address that? So the mindset is still. I don't think it's kicked into a lot of parents yet. That it
still has
fairly new, right? It's only been a couple of years, right? First of all, when there were more opportunities, it didn't kick in, right? So now there's some less opportunities, and I'm talking higher level. There's the same number of opportunities. It's a matter where you go, right?
I tell the parents that all the stars have to align: your grades, your play, and what the coaches need. And now more than ever with the transfer portal, it's what the school needs. You may be a 5-star quarterback, but if they don't need a quarterback, you ain't going there.
Right.
And it just is what it is. It has nothing to do with the coach's ability and with the effort that they put in. I'm going great for this with the recruiting stuff because you try to make everyone happy, but it's just not. It's not reality. And the reality is you're going to play where you're going to go. I tell the kids all the time, your college is going to be like your girlfriend. If you're chasing that college, you ain't getting that girl. If they're chasing you, you're going to get it. And that's going to be the place for you. Central Michigan wanted Miles from day one, and they stayed there, and that's where he went. He wanted to go to Boston College. He wanted to go to these other schools, but it just wasn't in the call. It was just everything falls in place where you're going to go. And they just have to be grateful that they're playing football. And, and the one thing is that your football career will end one day. It's going to end. There is a stop. Some kids have a delusion. Like, it is great. And I love football more than the next guy, but there is an end point to football. You want to have a great job, a great career. You want to be a father and a husband. And that's that. We've kind of changed gears doing our leadership council in the morning. We're teaching the values of our program, but it's also the values of life, of being on time, being responsible, being realistic with goals in your life. You know, I tell my wife I want to marry Julia Roberts, and that just didn't happen. I married Lauren.
Right. I think that reality of like where guys actually need to, and it's hard, right? Because you're essentially telling a parent that, like, look, your kid's not that good, right? But
well, you're very
coming off as that, but it's not that. It's just,
you know, it's like there's so many other things that go into it.
It's just you may not be a fit for this place. That's the thing.
Like, they don't understand that there's other, like, that a coach has a list and has to go, like, hey, I can only offer one tight end this year. I can only go after this. Oh, my head coach, or hey, the league we're in, we need an extra DB, or we need some. There's so many of those intangibles that parents.
You're a great running back, but their money might be to get a kicker. They might need a kicker. That's where all the money's going.
I need this guy on this team, right? So, you know, I just tell, like, for me, it's always about, look, make yourself as marketable as possible.
I try to keep it positive.
Do multiple things, you know, those types of stuff. Like,
I tell them, keep your options open. Keep your options open, because you never know what's going to happen. I've had Samad Hicks last year was one of the best running backs I've seen.
Great player.
He's going to Montclair State. Guess what?
Yep.
That's where he's going. And it's a great school. I think they're going to do a great job. He's going to have a great career. A lot of people can't say that.
I mean, it's where I went, right? Like, I played there. It's a good, and now the changing of the guard. It's always been a top. We used to play Wesley every year, man. I mean, we would go down there and battle it out down there. Like, it's a good spot. It's got to be the right spot, right? Like, I tell these guys too, one of the most important things is get on campus and you got to fall in love with the school, not just football. You know?
And you want to play. I said, are you guys chasing
that's the other one, right?
Play? You want to play. If you love football, and we do a thing here at North Brunswick where we do an assignment, why you love football. And I have all the coaches talk too. There's a reason why you get up. There's a reason why you put your helmet on. There's a reason why you have a whistle. There's a reason why you coach football and why you play football. Why do you love football? And there's a reason why. Now, if you love football for all the other stuff, you're going to fizzle out. If you love football to play, you're going to go play and want to play wherever, no matter where you go.
Right? It's too much investment. It's too much time to just be a hobby. And then if you want to play at that next level, you know, you got to
tell the kids this isn't something to make friends. If you want to do that, join the YMCA, because this isn't for,
go do something else. There's a lot of other things with less time requirements, and you know, it's also the only sport where after 4 years of high school, like, you don't ever play it again unless you go to that level. It's not like you're going to play in a men's softball league or a pickup league at the YMCA. Like, once you take that helmet off, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, it's how
I can tell you the exact date in December 10th, 2005. That was the last day I ever played football. I still remember it. Like, I just know. That's sick. I don't remember the homework I helped my son with the other night, but I do remember the last day of my football career.
Absolutely.
And coach, another thing I want to say was, what was I going to say? I like to show parents numbers. Here's the percentage of kids going D1, D2, D3. Here's the percent. This is the country. This isn't just North Brunswick. This is the country is dealing with this. So it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Right. It's a great point.
Right, because everybody gets so caught up in their little, like, oh, hey, I'm the best player in, this conference, or I was all state here. And it's like, look, there's a lot of other stuff we're talking about, right? And we talk to coaches from different states and whatnot, and it's just the geographics matter, right? Like, just how there's more than just these kids that only you see on your social media, right? Like there's a national presence here that you guys need to, like, this has to be, take a look at it.
And we post stuff because we want the town to see, hey, man, North Brunswick is thriving. They're doing a great job. They're getting these kids into colleges. They care about their academics. They care about their sport. And I think that should be celebrated. I mean, it's as silly as it is just to put a picture of a kid and say, hey, you just got off. That means something. I mean, it means something to the program. It means something to the player, the family. I mean, why wouldn't you celebrate that?
Exactly.
The positive side, too, the one positive, I think, of being, first of all, you want to go where you're wanted, but and like, I think your analogy is great. Like if you have to chase after the girl constantly just to get her to go on a date with you, in the end, she's not going to be with you. I mean, you watch some of the chasing,
and it never was
chasing you. My father said that to me long, long ago. I wish I listened to him for many years, but eventually it proves to be right. So, but playing now, I think, is an important thing. And so what happens now because of the fact that you can get you're not going to get recruited all as high a level as maybe before, and because of the transfer portal, the importance on being able to play now where you're at. So if it's Division III, like maybe a guy might have been Division II before is going Division III, you're going to get an opportunity, I think now, and just from talking to all the college coaches, we're going to give you an opportunity that first 2 years to really play, because what basically happens is, and at all levels this is happening, you're going to get shaken out if you're not able to get on the field in those first 2 years, regardless, because of the transfer. But the positive side of that is if you choose to go Division III, right, and that's the opportunity that you have there, that's your best opportunity. Maybe you were a borderline FCS Division II guy, but you end up going Division III, and you get the opportunity to play in those first 2 years, and you do really well. If that's a place you want to stay, awesome. You'll be able to stay there and be a star at that school. If you're a guy that's looking for greener pastures, which it happens now, you'll also have that opportunity. And the coaches obviously don't hold it against you anymore because they're looking for greener pastures. And that's, I guess, the fortunate and unfortunate thing. But you will get more of an opportunity early on, whereas probably when you played, I mean, definitely when I played, like when I got on the field as a redshirt freshman, that was like a big deal because they were trying to like take you over the course of 5 years and really develop.
And the kids have to know that it's a process. Like you might not start D3 until you're a junior, but that's fine because I mean, me and my brother didn't really play till we were juniors, but we had to kind of do our time, learn the system, get bigger, get stronger. And you did your time and then you played. And that's part of the process. And the problem now with kids is that their feet aren't where their head isn't where their feet are. They're thinking about what they're
what's my next move? How do I get bigger
in high school?
How can I go up a level?
You need to play your senior year. You need to play your junior year first, and then let it fall how it may. And
Great point.
Or if a kid's go, hey, I'm going to D3, and then after the first year, I'm going to get transferred. You don't know that. You might love the place. How do you know that?
You might never want to leave.
You might never want to leave. I never want to leave. After my first year, I loved Wesley. A small school. Everyone knew you by name. If you were in a football team, it was like being in a frat anyway.
Right. That was what it was. Right. Fast as everybody was fast as shit.
I wouldn't change it for the world. Still, some of the guys I talk with now, some of my best friends are all, and that Wesley connection is still around. The state, other guys that are coaching in New Jersey are all Wesley guys. We had a tight bond, and it was just something that you have pride with.
It was a powerhouse program. There's no doubt about it. It's funny when that clock is completely around your head. I feel like I'm talking to Jesus Christ because it's.
Don't compare me to him. Do not compare.
You have the halo all the way around you. I'm like,
me and him are fighting right now because I always joke with the kids and I pray that I say, hey, I talked to God and it's not going to rain until after practice. And then on Labor Day last year, I said it and it poured and it's been downhill ever since. I got to make up with them.
No, that's right. That's right. You got to make up with them. Really, really interesting stuff. Now, measurables, like when you're putting people in place in your program, and you're trying to figure out like this kid's a plugger, and this guy's a potential star for you. How do you go and figure out where to put your pieces on the field from a football standpoint? So when you're trying to figure out, who's going to be my quarterback, who's going to be my receiver, and finding the right pieces. Because I think that's the big part. That's a big part in building a successful program, is always having the pieces mostly correct all the time, right? Talk about how you do that.
You wanna piece together what you want, but you also, that's part. I mean, we meet monthly as a staff, and we have an idea who the guys are, but we always say there's competition, and we don't BS it. Like, quarterback position is always competition. You need to win that position, whether you're a 3-year starter, returning guy, you're still winning, trying to win your job. The biggest thing is evaluating. Like, you can't, like, we're out on the field, we are evaluating you, and like I said, we talk almost every day after practice on, hey, I really liked him. Hey, what about this guy? Leon Lowry's outside linebacker right now for Wisconsin. He started as a safety, then he was an outside linebacker, and then he was a D end. And then there was a fight between the brothers on who really made that decision and who to put him at the end. But that, if we didn't evaluate and look at
he'd have been stuck as a safety.
What they were doing in a drill or practice or speed training or in the weight room, we wouldn't have thought that kid could play that position. Like, obviously he's a tall, lengthy guy. We're thinking D end. We're thinking linebacker. I have Tommy Caroma right now, who's our star basketball player, but the kid's a thick kid. He can run. All right, he's our rover. He's our outside linebacker. He can play safety. He can come down and tackle. He's one of our better tacklers. Usually our adjuster and our safety and our defense is one of the faster guys, smarter guys. You know, we have a kid, Jair, who's getting a lot of Ivy League looks. His brother's at Villanova. You just have an idea who our toughest guys are going to be in the middle linebacker. We run a 3-3. Our pluggers are our big linemen. Our nose guards really just taking 2A gaps, making the Mike run behind them. Our DNs have to be smart. They got to be tough. We spill everything. And we evaluate that through drills. Hey, I'm going to come down during that spill drill. I want to see how the guys do. And I really didn't like him. Maybe he's the weak side end. Like, you have to do that. Like, you don't just assume. You never assume. Everything's a competition. And we break down our scrimmages on this kid's getting 6 reps. This kid's getting 4 reps. This kid's getting, and we explain it to the kids. Hey, man, how come I got 4 reps? If the kid knows he's getting 4 reps for a reason, you better make the most of it. Because then when we go back home after the game, I'm going to evaluate and grade you. We do report cards weekly. You get a report card individually and a group. The linebackers got a B+. What are we going to work on in practice next week? Sideline tackling, physicality, whatever it may be. And I said, if you're not evaluating the kids think that it's for shit. You need to get evaluated, and they need to know truthfully, because a lot of kids can't handle the truth these days. They need to know the reality of where they stand on the team and what they're doing and what they need to work on. And I think that's a lost thing with coaches these days. They want to plug the kids with BS. I don't do that. It's reality. You're playing because you're playing because you're better than him right now. And if you want that spot, you need to beat him out weekly because you practice more than you play. And I was just saying here that practice is king. And the kids are starting to say it now because they like to mock some of the things I say.
That's what the high school kids do. Like,
there's steps to getting on the field. There's steps to being a player. Do you now, from a expectation standpoint, what kind of things do you do, like meeting wise with your parents, to make sure that they understand, everybody's on the same page? Because that's obviously, kid comes home, you're the backup. Why you might be more talented than the kid in front of him, but why aren't you playing? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, Dad. And then Dad,
I've had those conversations.
What do you have to do there? How do you set those?
Disrespectful. I don't care if they go have a question, or if they have a question about playing time. You say, hey, and that's why you have those report cards. Hey, we graded him out as an 88 because he's still got some accuracy stuff to work on. His footwork still whatever. This guy's a little slightly better. That's why we're going with him right now. And I think that you can never you'll never backtrack if you're just telling the truth. Just be truthful and say this is what it is. And if you don't like it, my answer is that he's got to work harder, keep coming to practice, and that's always the answer. Keep getting better. No freshman or sophomore will ever come home and say they didn't get a rep at practice, and that's why I love how we do it now. The JVs are getting reps. The freshmen are getting reps. Everyone's getting a rep. Nobody's standing around at practice. If you ever came to one, everyone's moving. It's 2.5 hours, and it's everyone's getting a rep, and they can go home and say, I did a hitting drill today. I learned how to tackle. We did blocking. And we as coaches have to evaluate that. And there's going to be parents that really don't like the evaluation, but that's why they pay us to do it. We're the coach, and this is what we went to school for this, and
Right.
we do take it serious. I would never hire a guy that half-asses their job, and I trust all these guys' words, coaches, and I have all their backs, and they have mine. And it's never ill will. We want all 75 players, however many we have on a team, to succeed. And it might not be till they're a senior until they really succeed. I have a guy at Montclair right now, Amari Macklin, did not start his senior year till he was a senior. He had 133 tackles. We were state finalists. Like, you got to wait your turn sometimes.
Everybody's on a different timeline, and that's an important thing for the athletes. When your time comes, you got to keep plugging away until you get to that point. I think that's to answer, I mean, we have parent meetings the day we meet with our team. We have parent meetings, and we kind of go through the same thing. We talk to them as the players. This is what these are our expectations. This is where we're going to go forward. This is what we expect out of kids who are in practice. We expect them to be on time. We have a list of rules and demands for each day, the discipline part, the character part. As much as we're trying to fix the culture here, we want to fix the culture outside of the school too. That the parents are on board with what we're doing, being on time, wearing the same colors on the field. The kids are so quick to blame their parents, but I'm like, you take responsibility. You make your lunch.
You're at that age now. You can have a conversation with your parents. You know what I mean?
No, a lot of
you're
kids
gonna have
don't.
to have some of these uncomfortable conversations as you get out of school and in life. Like, this is going to be part of it. So teach them how to do those things and get them more comfortable doing those things. I think that's a pivotal
kids
aspect
today are
of a
so
program.
quick to blame someone else, but they should.
Right.
A lot of times we say,
Don't be a
look at
finger
yourself.
pointer, man. Be a solver, right? Be a solver.
Look at yourself in the mirror and grow as a human being and be a man. So
and then you also just have to go around town looking for kids that are the size of your brother, and then
I listen.
And
when I
always
walked
be
down the hallways, I saw this one kid. He was huge. I can't think of his name right now. I think it's Caden. I said, play football. He said, I bowl. I said, you bowl? Now I got to get kids from the bowling program.
Yeah, that's it. Whatever it takes, and wherever they come from, it does not matter. It doesn't matter if they can play.
Recruit the hallways and the cafeteria.
And a lot of those kids that you find, like I always try to talk to the wrestlers to play, because I know 2 years ago we had a kid that never played football in his life. He was a great wrestler, and he turned out to be a great football player for us. And all he had to do was say, you have one job. You got to do A, B.
That's it.
And if you do that, you'll play. And he had one of the biggest sacks in school history when we beat Cherokee in 2021. He had a strip sack in Cherokee. We were 14-point underdog against them, and we won. And it's because of that kid that never played football in his life that just made a play because he was a program kid and he did what he was asked to do.
Yeah, and that makes all the difference.
And you wouldn't get a kid like that if you didn't have an established culture, right? Where, like, hey, you went out, sought that kid and had a conversation and said, look, man, like, we would love for you to be a part of our culture and how we do things. And, and you have those conversations where, he understands, like, wow, this is something that I really want to be a part of. Because, those guys are hard to get them to sign up. It's like, bud, you're practicing 4 days a week to play one game. Like, you don't have multiple matches a week. You don't have multiple games a week. There's a lot
of times it takes
involved.
And a lot of times it takes them just to come out to the field and see it after day one.
They just want to see it.
Or
exactly.
I love it. Or I love it. We're trying to get this heavyweight wrestler right now to
come out and try it, right? Just come out and try it. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but at least you can say, all right, I tried it.
Yeah, and as a form, you being a former lineman, and me and Derek have talked about it, so I'm curious your take on this. We found, like, for many years, obviously, all the spread offenses were the rage. You're able to get defenses in bad situations. Maybe originally you went to the 3-3, right, to be able to manage some of that stuff, right? But now so many spread type players are out there. Like, if you're as a former lineman, the ability to run the ball and have success running the ball is becoming, in our opinions, more and more important, because you don't tackle as much, number one, in practice, right? If you're not tackling as much, I don't care. You could do all the drills on air you want, and all the bag drills.
Oh
You're
no,
still
we
not
hit and we tackle.
right. And the other teams are not doing it as well. So do you feel that like the game? Where have you seen the game swing from an offensive standpoint? Are you a guy that likes to run?
We can look back at the draft and see what Harbaugh said about his offensive linemen.
That's what he said.
I'm all about it. You need to get linemen, and you need to be able to run the ball. I mean, you're seeing it more and more. I mean, I know the fullback's like a lost art, but I guarantee you Jim Harbaugh has a fullback in that backfield.
Yeah, look at some of your success, like your teams that are, making playoff runs, right? Like your Baltimore Ravens using a fullback. Your 49ers have an H-back fullback guy. Like, it's all starting to come back around.
Hey, listen, when you play November football, you're going to have to, at some point, be able to run the football. We had a lot of success with passing the ball in the past, but it always goes. And the guys joke with me because they say I only hire offensive linemen as coaches. So it's important because they have the right mentality. They have the right mentality.
Well, they have a workman mentality, and that's the big. I tell Derek this all the time. I coached with Nympheus the second time, and he made me the O-line, D-line coach. It changed my world as a coach going forward because I was forced to, I knew everything in theory, and then it forced me to really be in the trenches. And that team won the state championship. And if I had to be good all the time as an offensive line coach, and I had never been an offensive line coach, and I had to really make sure I absorbed everything, understood what they were trying to do, and taught it well, and taught them to be tough. And so it changed me as a football coach because from that point forward, I understood everything scheme wise and the physicality that it went into for an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman. What was going on there every single play. Because before, as a skill player, you kind of like take for granted that these guys are in front of you doing their job. And if they don't get a good push, you take it for granted. You're like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you getting a good push? But until you you played it, but until I coached it, I really didn't understand how difficult it was in every single play and what they had to do.
One of my best coaching years of my life was coaching offensive line. I loved it. It was natural.
Great guys.
And they were, when it came down to it, that was the heart and soul of your team. And our offensive coordinator, Dan Grzinski, does a great job and sits down with the offensive line coach, who's also a great coach. He's been doing it for 25 years, Paul Day. And he's a guy in the headset that says, run power. I say, what do we want to run here? Run power. I'm like, all right, Paul, stop. But he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
There's always one. Every staff's got one.
But you know what I mean? Everything starts up front, and anything that we do, run wise, pass wise, it all starts with the offensive lineman. A lot of offensive coordinators forget about that. That a lot of things that you do and everything that's predicated with your offense has to do the offensive lineman. It starts there, and that's. We're trying to get over the hump. We're trying to bring a state championship home to North Brunswick, and those linemen are tough to come by, man. We need those big. We played Hillsborough that year. I think every guy was 280 pounds. And we've been successful with speed. We've been successful with technicians, and you can get far. You can absolutely win with those guys, but at the end of the day, you need those big dudes up front to really help out when the game's on the line.
To get a push. Well, Coach, it's been great having you on. What a fantastic opportunity to talk to you. You've had a lot of tremendous success. It's if you ever want to come on and talk again, we'd be glad to have you. I mean, I just love your approach to the game. And like I said, North Brunswick, it's really interesting to see how you rebuilt it, and really not just rebuilt it, but sustained it. And are continuing to work because obviously you've got that one elusive thing you're chasing, and then once you get there, you're going to be chasing it again and again and again. Yeah. But the rebuild part of it's so people don't realize. I mean, and you kind of presented it very eloquently. So but I want the viewers to understand that changing a culture is very difficult because you're changing a mindset of kids where they might have been losing or they made excuses for themselves.
And you need a lot of people on board that have your back
with
with
the kids. You're changing
what you want to do.
Everything. You know what I mean? Like the culture itself doesn't just trickle down to like the guys on the field. It's parents, it's administration.
And that's really been our off season. Yep. Our off season this year was making sure we trying the culture in the community and at home and and teaching. If we could fix our guys, maybe they'll help others get changed the way they are, and become better people. I think that some of our last playoff losses, it wasn't really the X's and O's, and I'll stand by that. That you never want to blame. We're not blaming the kids, but the discipline, the character, all those little things that, as silly as it may be, I'm a big proponent of keep the locker room clean. I don't want to see one thing of garbage on the field or the locker room. Why, Coach? It goes a long way. You have pride in what you do, and you care about what you're surrounding. I mean, little things like that go a long way. And, I've learned as the older I get that the state championship is what you're chasing, but you really want to sustain a great program, which I, proud to say that we have. And it's not easy. It's the hard part. And it's you have to be surrounded by great people. You want to be surrounded by winners and guys that believe in what you believe in. And you push it off to the kids.
No doubt. No doubt about it. Thanks, Coach, for coming on. And
Appreciate you, Coach.
We'll see you real soon.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Talk soon. Thanks,
Have a
Coach.
great day.
Got it.
Bye-bye. All right, that was great. Great. I got a lot of really interesting things as someone who's been through it. He turned it around so quickly there.
It's crazy.
That's the amazing part is how he turned around quick.
I think it's more conducive to a quick turnaround when you're from the community itself, and you can link it back to be like, because now people start to see a name and they say, okay, I'll drink that Kool-Aid, right? Like I'll buy into what he does because I know not only him, but the entire family. They've been involved in the town since they were all young, right? I mean, that just kind of gives a certain level of, signing off on it. Like, okay, I'll ride with that. And we both know it's got to come from the top. So he had an administration that wanted to be a part of, you know what I mean? They bought into it. And now I think that he's really kind of cooking with gas as long as, you know what I mean? Like, they got a lot going on.
I have this visual at North Brunswick. Remember the movie Radio, where in Radio they used to bring on they would sit in the barber shop and they would be talking about the football and they would ask. Of course. Hold on, before we have it go, Coach. Before I have you go, I have someone that wants to say hi to you here real quick.
Oh shit! Man. How many times did you get fired?
Sorry to bring you back. John wanted to come in and say hello to you. So here's your opportunity as his former assistant.
I never fired John. I fired my brother Nick every day on game day.
I got it.
I said, get off the sideline. I don't want you back here. And I always
just go to the other end. You just go to the other 20.
I really wanted to ask about the YMCA. That's why I called in. There was something about the YMCA.
If you decide that you just want to make friends and play flag and do other things on the side, they have YMCAs in town that you can join and not just play football. I try to steer kids in a direction. It might not be for them, but I'll help you find something else to do.
The one thing about an older brother with a coach that's younger, when I have to take credit for one thing. You have to, as an older brother, like most do in the world, right? You can never let your younger brothers ever win. So I feel like that success that he's having now is directly because he's like, I'm fighting through this crap because I had to fight with my older brother my whole life to win a stupid game of tag or anything.
I get it. Listen, I have
numerous
board games.
Anytime we took a 4-0 lead in wiffle ball, John would just quit and the game was over.
Well, I said to your brother that he just has to go look for guys in the hallways that are your height, and then you're in good shape. You know what I mean?
Not many.
There's definitely some. There's always those guys in the school. And then you guys were talking about the Leon Lowry. The Leon Lowry thing was easy to move from safety because he stunk at safety. So that was an easy decision to move him down to linebacker.
And I use that till today. If a kid can't move in space, you bring him right down to the end. And
that's it.
I have
you just
a guy
work him
now
down.
that's
Boom, boom,
the same
boom.
thing.
Yeah.
I have a guy now. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it was a heck of a lot of fun. Obviously, coaching together for a long time when we had all three of us together. And if you go to the playlist pregame, North Brunswick, the in-house DJ that we hired there a couple years ago. But if you don't hear it, you're not in a real high school football setting unless you hear 80s wrestling theme songs in the pregame.
Yeah. Vision Quest action or what?
If you go to our games, you will hear Jake the Snake's theme song.
Yes.
And it's funny because you would get like a coach from another town that'd be like, oh, was that and like, yeah, that was Bret Hart's theme song. You guys didn't.
You're
get
like,
that.
yep, that was the Hitman Hart coming out, buddy. That's exactly what you heard.
And because of that, you get more people coming out that are 80s wrestling fans, and maybe they just want to come and hear the songs. There's a method to the madness.
Whatever.
I love when I hear an
people in
80s
those
song. I hear a
fans.
Rocky theme. I hear Vision Quest. I hear anytime you hear, I'm like, oh, all right, this place is great.
Our pregame playlist in our coach's office says all Rocky. Is all Rocky. I got that from Coach Mistretta.
Yes, the Rocky stuff is the greatest. Or if you get a couple of what was the movie 300 where they're chanting there, that's usually a good one. It's funny because when you go to different places, you know, it's great when I would hear songs that I actually knew some of the words to versus some of the songs now. I'm like, oh wow, is that a popular song? And the kids are like, yeah, this is the most popular song out right now. I'm like, oh okay. I had no idea.
We try to play different themes of music so the kids have a variety of life and not just one.
Yeah, kids just have one because they all want to listen to the same thing. So you got to have a little variety. You got to culture kids on some of the different time periods of the world, not just of everything that they hear right now. You know, but that's awesome. That's awesome stuff. I figured we would have a little surprise for you. So,
God!
All right, I'll let you guys finish up. Good job.
We are done. We are done. But I saw you come in there, and I saw your brother was still there. I saw Mike was still there. I'm like, you know what? Let's pop him on.
I didn't know if I had to sign off or not.
That chlorine might be hitting you, Coach.
It's so hot in here. I might have lost 5 pounds in this interview.
Oh, you're in the pool. You're in the pool.
I'm in the pool.
I love it.
All right, guys.
That's it.
There it is.
Go on.
I think also for our viewers, this is the first coach we've had on where their school actually has a pool. So they
Olympic size.
Yeah, like, incredible.
Listen, and that's another. I mean, I would hope, like, you know, not try to extend this anymore, but I'm sure you got some access level of that to use player-wise, working out transitions.
Yep. We do workouts.
That's always a great thing, right? Yep. Like after a 2-a-day or a hot day, it's like, guys, hit the pool. Like
our 6 a.m. workouts, we'll do workouts in the pool.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what a resource.
Yep.
Like, absolutely. Coach, no doubt. Appreciate it, both of you.
All right, guys, I'll see you later. Have a great day. All right, that was
shit. The only other school I know of that even has pool access like that is PCT.
My guess is Middletown South probably has a pool, and I'm guessing North has a pool. I'm guessing, but I don't know. I mean,
no way, dude.
You don't think so?
Fucking hell no.
I wonder. Maybe you might be right. Now I'm trying to think about it. I know where the gyms are. You're right, because they have the little bubble that's like a basketball tennis bubble thing, and you might be right. Maybe there is no pool. I remember back when I was a freshman.
Well, now if teams are smart, they're just going to use Lifetime,
which is a lap.
Is that an Olympic-sized pool?
It is. It's a lap pool. Yeah.
That's what somebody should strike a deal with. Be like, hey, we're gonna have matches or whatever here from these times.
I don't think they want. I don't think.
I know they don't want that. They would rather have somebody paying $250 a month to use the pool and get out there with their little floaties and, you know, hey, we're doing aqua size today. Yes, go pump it, pump it.
There's no way they want that. No, there's absolutely no way. When I was a freshman in high school, I remember when the seniors. I don't know if they ever did this to you at Butler. But they were like, hey, yeah, you need to go to the third floor.
The roof. There's a pool on the roof. I got it. Listen, I taught it.
I'm like, yeah, you remember? You probably heard them say.
Come on, dude. Those seniors were like coming up to 8th graders, be like, you guys see the pool yet? Like,
yeah, South doesn't change.
Same
That's what makes it great. But anyway, great podcast. We'll next week we got a busy week.
Yeah, buddy, we got a good one. We got some good stuff. We got Tuesday, we have Chad Brain, who's the current special teams coordinator at St. Anselm Division II school. He's going to come on and talk about how, their process of recruiting and timetables are a little different than the Division I guys.
Cool.
It looks like Wednesday, I just got Coach Scott Van Zyl, who's the head coach at Gilman School down in Maryland.
Okay.
And then Friday, my former offensive coordinator, retired now, Rich O'Connor from Montclair State. So it'd be good to get his perspective on kind of the new stuff. Coach O is interesting cat, man. Crazy dude. Another one of those Montclair State guys. I can't go a whole week without a Montclair State.
Yeah, I was just say you can't go more than a week. Well,
I would
2
lose
weeks.
my mind. So,
Yeah,
but no, we got some good things coming up. I really think this one with Chad Brain is going to be excellent, eye-opening for a lot of people to realize like this Division II world now is really starting to kick off with the transfer portal stuff because they can offer money and all kinds of their programs are just more on the rise. Division II, I mean, a lot of more people knew Division III over Division II stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like they've always been that sleeping whatever. Like people really just didn't even know that Division II, like what was it? They just skipped over it and went to D3 because there's so many more D3s. But I mean, Division II, you're talking about the East Stroudsburgs of the world, the Bloomsburgs of the world, right? Like schools that around here are relevant and they can give some good amount of money and talk about, high academic stuff, everything people are looking for in terms of high level football. And I think it's just going to be eye opening for people to really realize like what goes into that.
There's
and that it's like a bona fide option, especially with these guys now. So
and that Division II is really that sweet spot where if you just miss FCS because of the transfer portal, that's where you're going to fall directly. And I think that'll be really interesting. I have a lot of questions on that because
Chad is
Division II is also
great.
a world. It's also a world that a lot of people understand FBS, FCS, Division III.
Right.
Okay?
The Division II stuff. I'm telling you, like it's people just what is it?
What is it?
Exactly. So, and like I said, and Chad's great. He's very open about everything, right? He's extremely active on social media. He's and that's before we even get to any of the X's and O's stuff that he does. Like that's not even, I told him, I'm like, look, I understand that, but that's not even what I want to talk about, right? I want to talk about, because like I said, their calendar is different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they can go out on the road different times than the Division I guys go out on the road and all of those types of things. So, they're in and out of Bill. And look, he'll tell you like, it doesn't, like I was talking to him last night and he said, and we'll get into it with him. Like, it doesn't even make sense for me to go on the road and go into these schools. He goes, I just go to these satellite camps and that's where I get,
interesting. Yeah.
They host them. So now it's like, hey, we have one on campus. He goes, and then we do one in Jersey, which is this weekend. We do one in different places. He goes, right? And I just hit on that rather than having to go to every freaking school because they come like, they just want to go to the satellite camp and I catch them there, So it's definitely going to be a very eye-opening thing, I think, for people and just, create another option for them.
Absolutely.
Which will be good.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. All right, cool. We'll get out of here.